When it comes to money, there isn't a single surefire way to gain money and instantly become a millionaire. Most of the time, it takes hard work and dedication. But what if I told you there's a way to make money even while you're on vacation? That's right. I'm talking about investing. It's the best way to make money work for you while you do the things you love. However, only the best investors know what it takes to become successful. If you're up to the challenge, I'll be here to guide you through the 7 psychological tricks every investor should know. Let's get on with it. Trick number 1. Make sure to risk only what you can afford to lose. The very first thing you should know as an investor is that investing will always involve risk. Simply, it means you can't exactly predict the outcome of your investments. Investors reap only what they're willing to sow, meaning how much risk they're willing to take. To put it bluntly, every investor should know that there is no guarantee they'd be getting back the money they've already invested. That's why the very first thing you should know is you should only risk what you can afford to lose. That being said, investing isn't something to make you rich overnight. One of the best things you can practice as an investor is patience. I know it might be difficult to be patient when you're invested more than you can afford to lose, but that's what separates good investors from great ones. This is when you begin to see other investors get nervous after a short time because they expect to get rich quickly. As Warren Buffett once said, if you're not thinking of owning a stock for 10 years, don't even think of owning it for 10 minutes. If you choose to risk more than you can afford to lose, you're more likely to make wrong investment decisions. I bet that among the top 5 things you're worrying about now, money is one of them. It's completely understandable because money has a deep connection to our emotions. That's why the higher the risk, the more worried we get and the more wrong decisions we make. For example, let's say you decided to invest $5,000. You go to sleep for the night, and when you get up the next morning, you find out the market is down by 10%. Now your investment is only worth $4,000. What would you do? Well, firstly, the wrong thing to do is panic and sell your holdings to mitigate further losses. Secondly, real investors understand that dips like these are part of investing. We'll get back to this point at a later part of this video, so keep watching until the end. Trick number 2. Take it easy during the start of a new investment. You might get overexcited after watching a video like this or reading about it in a finance blog, and you think you're ready to take on some real investments. However, you should know the trick to making it big is taking those small steps at the beginning. Every great investor today started out as a beginner, so it's completely okay if you're having some trouble getting your footing. Just keep an open mind and a hunger for ambition. Start small while learning as you invest. To illustrate, let's look at some of the greatest basketball players today. Do you think they all learned how to shoot and slam dunk from the very first day of their training? Probably not, right? However, they continue to train, learn, and become better day by day. It's the same thing with investing. You don't become a great investor on your very first day. It's a long, somewhat difficult journey that gets easier when you begin to understand the basics. When you see all these big businesses, just know that most of them started as small branches, with their investors taking those small steps in the beginning. To start, I recommend putting a bit of money into a few different sectors. The main goal for this stage isn't about making money, but about understanding and learning as much as you can. A lot of new investors lose money because they don't understand the basics. But by starting small, you can learn how to invest profitably with minimal risk by getting to know the different sectors. Keep in mind that top investors are successful because they only invest in the things they understand. Trick number 3. Protect the principal. Another reason why new investors fail is that they don't know how to properly protect their money. There are 2 golden rules when it comes to investing. And the first one is, never lose your money. The second rule is to never forget the first one. So, the burning question now is it really possible not to lose money while investing? Yes, it is entirely possible, and I'll show you how in just a bit. The first thing you should know is you have to have a goal before investing in a certain asset. Once you've determined your prediction was right and the value of the asset increases, don't be greedy. Even if you see it increases indefinitely, don't be tempted to keep your investment there. If you've reached the goal you've set, take your profit and protect the initial principal. So, as a new investor, make sure you're protecting your capital by taking the profit as your portfolio increases. Remember that the market can still be unpredictable, but when you protect your principal, you won't be worried about the outcome of the market, making you less worried. And less worry means a clearer mind and more money. So far, we've talked about a few basic tips that new investors can do to make sure they're getting the most out of their new investments. But we're not done just yet. Before we move on to some of the bigger psychological tips, make sure to hit the subscribe button and drop a like. Now, let's get on with the video. Trick number 4. Don't be greedy. Let's be honest. If you see a lot of money being raked in, you might be as greedy as the next person. I know it might not be the best thing to hear, but it's the truth. We all want more, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But when it comes to investing, you should learn to control this greed. There are some investors that strike the iron while it's hot. But the reality is, most people lose money rather than gain with these new hot investments. For example, there were stories about a few gold rushes in history, but every time, the ending was the same. The mining became unprofitable for a lot of people, and only a handful of them actually go on to be wealthy. An important investing quote goes like this: "Be careful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful." This means you shouldn't be influenced by others in making your investing decisions. More often than not, when a price of a stock is high, only the earliest investors benefit from it. If you feel like you're missing out, you might panic buy an overpriced stock and lose your capital if the stock crashes. Just be careful when investing so you don't go wasting money thinking you've won the lottery. I'm not trying to say that every hot stock or investment that promises big rewards is a bad investment. I'm just reminding you, if an investment sounds too good to be true, it most likely is. Be the bigger investor and do your own research to find out as much as you can about a particular investment. Like in previous tricks, remember to set goals and control your greed so you can create a profit. Trick number 5. Turn losses into advantages. I know it might sound impossible, but believe me, it's easier than you think. A lot of investors are shocked when they lose money because they genuinely think that they've done enough research before investing. But, as we now know, no one controls the market, and even the most experienced investors don't always have accurate predictions. This is all part of investing, and the earlier you realize this, the better. Like with other things in life, making mistakes is the best way to learn and get better. Learn from your losses and understand that no one has control over the market. Learn to accept that even your best predictions can go wrong and you may lose money. Look at your mistakes, try to analyze them, and find the best possible solutions for them. Sometimes it's not enough to avoid these mistakes next time. So, it's best to learn from them when you can. Be discerning about the information you get on stocks and continue to do substantial research. At least this way, you'll be learning more while keeping your stocks safe and secure. One great way to use losses to your advantage is to diversify your portfolio. It's not enough to invest in different companies, so you also need to invest in different industries. For example, Apple and Microsoft are two huge companies that belong in the same industry, being tech. There's a big chance that whatever affects one will affect the other. To mitigate your losses when one fails, try investing in another industry like transportation. Even if I keep reminding you to do lots of research, learning from experts with proven records of success is a great way to learn as well. Trick number 6. Don't beat yourself up over what-ifs. You might have missed an amazing deal on Amazon, but so what? A lot of other investors did too. Or you might have seen someone sell his 10% stake in Apple for $800. So now you feel bad. Research is key, but sometimes you'd be making decisions that make you wonder what if. Well, you shouldn't waste time thinking about what could have happened or about lost opportunities. Instead, you should focus on what you have now and how to make better investments in the future. Let's go back to the first trick and remind ourselves that we should only risk what we can afford to lose. Even if you missed a potentially good investment, don't go around investing in things similar to what you lost if you can't afford it just to make yourself feel better. If you don't believe in a company, then it's probably not a good investment for you, no matter how much money you could have made. Even if the market is unpredictable, one sure thing about it is that there will always be more initial public offerings as long as the market is around. You might even be the next big investor of Tesla or Amazon. Before we move on to the last psychological trick, I'd love to hear your thoughts so far. Comment down below which trick you'd like to try out as a new investor. Or, if you have more tricks that we missed, make sure to let us know in the comments. Now, on to the final trick. Trick number 7. Understand dips as a part of investing. Do you remember earlier in the video when we mentioned that dips are a completely normal part of investing? Well, this is one of the most important things you have to understand to be an excellent investor. If you've ever seen a stock market chart, you'll see that there are red and green marks. Most investors go for the green ones because it means profit, while they avoid the red because, let's face it, no one likes to lose money. However, you should always remember that it's impossible to have greens without experiencing a few dips from time to time. And that's something you should understand as a part of investing. All throughout history, there are multiple records of stock market crashes. But what you might not have known is that investors who didn't sell during these crashes eventually regained their money and even made a profit. The greatest investors understand that a market dip is an opportunity to gain more stocks at a cheaper price. So, you shouldn't sell your stocks during a dip to avoid losing money. For example, you bought a stock for $100, and during the market dip, it lessened to $85, so you decided to sell it. If you held it long enough to eventually make a profit when the value of stock recovers, you definitely could have made a profit there. Always remember that patience is key, research is very important, and investment planning will mitigate your losses. These, along with our 7 psychological tricks, will set you on the right path to becoming a great investor. Thanks for watching, and if you want to learn a few more tips and tricks to handling your money, make sure to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers!